Hi everyone, my name is Luxthos, and today I'm bringing you another Diablo 4 guide video. This time around for a Necromancer minion leveling build for Season 2. So we've done something similar in the past. So this is a very similar build that we've used in Season 1, but we've gone ahead and adapted it a little bit for Season 2, and I think it's going to transition really, really well into the final build that I'm going to be playing, which is going to be a pure Summoner build. So we're going to go full Summoner build, no damaging ability, Golem, Minion, just the whole thing, and they're going to be doing most of the damage with a Ring of Mendel in the future. But this is not this video. I'm going to make another separate video for this one. Right now, we're going to go into a Summoner leveling build for Season 2 with the help of our good friend Bone Spear. So I did really enjoy it in the first season. And that was really, really fun. I had a really, really good time. I was speed clearing the content. I felt unkillable. I had good damage, and it did really, really well until I was able to finally land on a Ring of Mendel and go for a more pure minion build oriented playstyle. So we're going to cover pretty much everything here. We're going to cover the gear that you're looking for, the legendary, the skill tree, the skill you're going to be using, your Book of the Dead, your gem. We're going to be talking about everything here. So stick with me. It's going to take a couple of minutes. I'm just going to go through every piece of information you need to know to get a good season start with the Necromancer, and then we're going to be good to go. So let's start with the build, right? This is going to give you an idea. This is pretty much identical to what we were using previously, except we got some nice little buff to Minion. Not only is Golem going to do a lot more damage now, our minions are going to be a little bit more tanky, so that's going to be very, very nice. You're going to start things off with getting 2 points in Reap here. Doesn't really matter. For leveling purposes, feel free to also try out Bone Splinters. You can go for these for leveling. It's actually a good ability. Reap can actually be pretty good as well. If you can go for that guaranteed corpse, can be kind of nice. But pretty early on, we're going to be going for Bone Spear here. Pretty much as you're leveling, you're going to maybe want to pick like any of your range. You're going to pick Reap or a Bone Spear, whichever one you prefer in order to generate resources. And then you're going to be using all of that essences into Bone Spear until you can get your Skeletal Mage that are going to be generating essences for you. And at that point, you're no longer going to be needing the generation. So this is the complete build, but you might want to do some adjustment as you're leveling just to get a feel for it. I love Bone Splinters, and I love Reap as well, so feel free to go with whichever one you want to go. The important part here is going to be to put your 5 points into Bone Spear, and then you're going to go for the enhancement and the additional critical strike here. So that's going to be really, really good. Hewed Flesh is going to be good. You're going to get more corpses, which is going to allow you to make sure your army stays well healed and resurrected, pretty much. You're going to want to make sure that you get the corpse generation here, Grim Harvest. That's going to give you some additional essence to spam some Bone Spear while you're leveling. And you're going to want to make sure you get that free damage increase with Fueled by Death. This is going to be a top priority. As soon as you get to this route, you want to pump your Skeletal Warrior. So as soon as you're done with putting some points in here and you can go to the second row, make sure you go for the Skeletal Mastery and then make sure to fill in with the Grim Harvest and the Fueled by Death here. Then I'm going to go immediately into Skeletal Mage Mastery, and then I would go with Death Embrace. Pretty good. Make sure you don't pick Decrepify in the early level. It's not going to matter much. It's not going to matter too much. You're not necessarily going to need it because it's mostly to reduce like the cooldown later on for Army of the Dead. I kind of liked it for leveling. It's been pretty fun. So make sure that you pick that a little bit later. For the early level, it's not going to matter too much. So, but you're still going to want to pick it with the cooldown reduction here and the increased damage with your curse. You're going to want to go with Corpse Tendril with the Vulnerable. That's going to be really, really nice. And some extra Fortify from your minions. So you're pretty much going to be running around with full Fortify, and you're going to be cruising. Not a care in the world. You're going to go for full Golem Mastery. You're going to go for the entirety of the minion node here. So, you know, like increased damage with Hellbent. You're going to go for the Inspiring Leader for more attack speed. The healing here, it went from 5 seconds to 8 seconds, so you're going to have to press this less often. But pretty much the heal is just going to be over 8 seconds, and the damage over time is going to be over 8 seconds. So that's going to be really, really good. And the baseline heal of the ability was increased also, I believe. So it doesn't heal, it heals for a little bit more baseline, which means that before you can get here, your minion should be more tanky. And also by default, you can see that this here, the Death's Defense, was changed to armor and resistances, which is really, really good because that means that the previous passive that was here before, which was preventing your minion from taking more than 30% of their max health and damage, is now passive baseline. So leveling straight from the get-go with minion is just going to be that much stronger because they're never going to be able to get one-shotted, which is amazing. And pressing the button to actually resurrect or heal them is going to heal them for a little bit more. So it should make the leveling a breeze. It was already really, really easy to do so. It's just going to make it even better. I like to go with Army of the Dead because although I will use Bone Storm in pretty much every other build, this is because the Legendary make it good, right? The reason that Bone Storm is so good is because it does a lot of ticking damage, which helps for procking Ring of Mendel, for example, but it also will give you a nice barrier, and you can even extend it. So it gets better with Legendary, but before we have Legendary, Army of the Dead is the best choice. You have a Legendary that allows you to increase the attack speed of your minion every time you use this, which you can find by just doing a codex, by doing a dungeon, which means it's a guaranteed source of Lego, which will increase directly Army of the Dead. It allows you to resurrect your army if you die. It's just a nice cooldown for leveling, so I'm going for it. And then you're going to go for Callan's Edict. Obviously, for the leveling order of the build, simply just try to spread it out a little bit. Try to dump as many points as you can early on into the Bone Spear. Try to get like the important nodes for your minion. Try to put some point into Corpse Tendril, point here to survive, and then just fill in as you level with some of the other stuff like the Fortify, the Curse. Pick this like later on, really, really later on. You don't have to put all your points in here, especially this one. You can skip it early on. Go for this, though. That's going to help a lot your essence regeneration and pretty much fill in the points as you go and as you level. We're not going to have a Paragon board for this because the Paragon board is going to be for the endgame build. You're not going to worry about this too much for this build here as soon as you start transitioning. The other build that I'm going to come up that is going to be an endgame build is going to have a full Paragon board. So you're going to be able to check that out because it doesn't mean that you're going to be doing the same build that I'm going to be doing, right, for the endgame. It doesn't mean that you're going to transition into the same build. So if you want to transition into the full Summoner build, you're going to be able to check that video out. I'll try to keep a link in the description down below. So you'll have a link to this build here and to the other one for the endgame build. So you can take a look at the Paragon board. But I did want it to include a Paragon board because you could transition this to anything, right? You could transition into anything. So if you want to go check it out, it's going to be on the other guide. We're going to go into the Book of the Dead here. You're going to go with the Reaper. Just free corpses. It's just hard to beat. The Cold Mage here are going to be really, really nice. They give you Essence, which allows you to spam Bone Spear, which is really, really good. Obviously, while leveling, you're going to be using a Builder here instead of the Curse. So you're going to be using like Bone Splinter, for example, or Reap as you see fit, right? So that's going to be your choice instead of Decrepify. And as soon as you get this, you'll see that you barely need to use your Builder, and you're going to be able to use a lot more Bone Spear because of the generation here. For the Golem, pretty much go with whatever you want. It doesn't really matter. If you want more vulnerable, feel free to go with this one. I like the damage reduction of Blood Golem. It's really, really nice. You can also go for the Bone Golem, which is really nice. It taunts everything, and it's kind of neat to keep everything a little bit more packed up, so that's really cool. Feel free to go with whatever your playstyle desires. Right here, we're going to go for the legendary. So pretty much everything here is legendary that you can find from codexes that are available in dungeons. So none of these legendaries are dropped. So obviously, if you get some of the main piece for a summoner build, make sure to equip those instead, especially like increasing the amount of skeleton, increasing the amount of mages, and all those kind of good other Lego that you can find. But pretty much we're going to go for generic stuff that is going to allow you to survive. So Unstoppable here, Eluding, Disobedience, very, very important, very nice. That armor is very sweet. Grasping Vein, it's just free damage on your Tendril. Pretty hard to skip here. Aspect of the Protector is going to give you a barrier every time you damage an elite, which is really nice. Love that legendary for leveling. Movement speed, because Necromancer has no movement speed, so this one is very nice to get. A Splintering Essence, even though this is getting nerfed and the entirety of vulnerable and critical strike damage is getting adjusted, I would say, this is still a really, really good Lego. This is still going to help, and it's free as well, right? So it's guaranteed player power that you can get So that's really nice to apply to your weapon or to your Ami if you don't want to apply a Lego to your weapon, because it makes it easier to keep upgrading it. If you find a really, really good weapon, make sure to upgrade it like 2-3 times, then apply the Lego to it. You should be fine, right? But if you don't have the resources for it, then try to apply it to something else. Aspect of the reanimation, that's just free damage if your minions stay alive. Aspect of Umbral is just going to be some free resources when you crowd control anything. So that's going to be really, really good. Every time you press Tendril, it's pretty much going to give you max resources. If you get a good one, if you have the baseline one, not so much, but it's still very nice to have. And the Unyielding Commander aspect, which is going to be free attack speed every time you press Army of the Dead. Very, very good. For your gem here, you're going to go for the Emerald for the crit damage while vulnerable. Ruby for max life because it applies to Minion. So that's really important, right? The only 2 gem here that applies to Minion are the max life and the Topaz. So the Topaz is if you're crowd control a lot, you take massive amount of damage reduction, which also applies to your minion, which is nice. Sapphire doesn't work. Even though it's going to work for you, it's not going to apply to your minion because your minion are never considered fortified. They do get your damage reduction and all that stuff, but they don't benefit from being fortified because they're never fortified themselves. So Topaz is a good alternative as well. Because we don't play with Blood Mist, we're most likely going to be sitting in a ton of CC. So this can be a very good alternative, but I like Ruby. I like just scaling my HP. And then Skull for jewelry for the armor is going to be very, very nice. Luckily, Necromancer is an intelligence class, so we're going to get a ton of resistance. So we're probably just going to need to back up a little bit that armor, try to get as much armor as we can, and we're going to be pretty tanky here, so that's going to be very, very nice. When it comes to gear, it's pretty generic, pretty much. Try to go for total armor, maximum life, cooldown reduction. All stats is also really good. It gives you res, it gives you armor. It's just really, really good, right? Again, total armor, damage reduction, maximum minion life can be really, really good while leveling. Maximum life. For the gloves, some crit chance, some attack speed, some all stats. Ranked Bone Spear can be very nice while leveling. Again, your pants are going to be just like your helm and your chest. You're going to want to go for those massive defensive stats, total armor, damage reduction, max life, max minion life. For the boots, go for movement speed. Corpse Tendril rank is nice, reduces the cooldown. Dodge chance is really nice. It applies to your minion as well. And all stats is really good. Amulet, try to go for everything that's going to improve your quality of life. Cooldown reduction, movement speed, minion attack speed. You can even go for total armor. I don't recommend necessarily trying to hunt like a plus rank skill on an Ami while leveling. So just get 4 good stats that are going to make you tanky, give your minion attack speed, some movement. You can even go for essence cost reduction if you're lucky enough for that Bone Spear. Pretty nice. For your ring, vulnerable damage, crit chance, crit damage, max minion life, or maximum life, whichever one you want to choose. So that's why I put both in here. Whichever one you land on. If you have like a trio of ring like this, really, really nice. These 3 stats are going to be really good for this build. For the weapon here, you're going to go for some crit damage, vulnerable damage, intelligence, and then critical strike with bone, or increased damage to close, or increased damage to CC or whatever. You can do whatever. As long as you get like crit damage, vulnerable damage, int, you're good to go. Even all stats could be good here, so that could be pretty nice. I'm going to go with a 2-ender. It's just very nice for the sweet minion damage. And that's pretty much going to be this for the gear and everything. And then for the Vampiric Power. So this is going to be interesting because we don't fully understand them. From what we understand, you're going to be dropping these token here, these little badge that you can then apply to gear, which allows you to use certain Vampiric Power. So for example, if you're going to use these 5 Vampiric Power on your gear, you're going to need 5 of this badge, you're going to need 9 of this one, and 1 of this one on your gear somewhere. Then that's going to allow you to use this full combination. So I'm giving you some suggestion of things that look good. We haven't been able to test any of this, so it's all speculation, but this looks pretty good for the current build. So I went with Coven's Fang. It gives your minion increased damage to crowd control enemy, and it also has a chance to inflict Vampiric Curse. And from what I understand, Vampiric Curse will curse the enemy, steal their soul, and then at some point release the souls into a massive amount of damage called Accursed Souls, which is just corpses like running towards enemy and exploding and killing them. It looks exactly like if you've ever worn the glove Howl from Below. When you corpse explode, there's like a dude running towards a target. It looks like this. It's just a bunch of souls that are running out and hitting targets, at least from what we've seen in the trailer, and they look to be doing crazy amount of damage. For that reason, I'm going to go with a Cursed Touch, which seems to increase the damage they deal by 200%. Unless I misunderstood something, that sounds pretty nice. And it also gives you a chance to even apply more curse and then spread, which is nice. Sanguine Brace, and whenever you kill an enemy, you gain Fortify, which is nice, but the really, really cool thing is if you're fortified, you get 8% crit chance, which is nice. It's good for Bone Spear. Your minion are going to benefit out of it, and you're going to be fortified all the time anyway. So very, very good. Prey on the Weak, increase vulnerable damage, which is great. And if and enemies are vulnerable if they're also Vampiric Cursed, which from what we're doing right now, everything should be cursed all the time. So that's really, really good. Ravenous here is just going to be free attack speed and movement speed. I mean, that's pretty good. If you end up applying so much curse and everything is permanently vulnerable, you can even swap Corpse Tendril to actually spawn Blood Orb. And the Blood Orb can heal your minion now passively, which is really, really nice from what I understand. So if your minions are dying and you're struggling a little bit and you already apply vulnerable all the time, I doubt it, but it could be an interesting option. So that's pretty much it for this build. This should allow you to level pretty much all the way to 100 or all the way until you hit that Ring of Mendel. You're going to be able to target specific legendary now by doing Uber bosses. So these Uber boss, not legendary, sorry, unique. You're going to be able to target, farm some specific unique. So that's going to be really, really fun. You're going to be able to get into the build you're looking for a little bit faster. But this is going to be a good starting point for the Season 2. So again, the link for this is going to be in the description down below. And as soon as I'm done with my endgame guide, I'm going to post it in the description as well. It's going to be there. And you guys are going to be able to go see that, transition to it, check out the Paragon board, and all that good stuff. If you have any other question regarding this build, make sure to post it in the comment section down below. If you enjoy the guide also, feel free to let me know. Feel free to put a thumbs up on the video. Feel free to subscribe as well. And if you want to come hang out on Twitch, I pretty much stream every single day. And I'm going to be playing a ton of Diablo 4 in this next season. So if you want to come hang out or just say hi, I would really appreciate it. Otherwise, I'm going to wish you good luck, my friend, and see you all in Sanctuary. Bye-bye.